At the Mangosuthu University of Technology, and we cross back to her. Very good morning to you again, Leanne. We've seen that the issue of land and land distribution and service delivery is at the core of many party manifestos and some of their campaigns. So I do believe we've got some of the political leaders there. I'm crossing over to you right now.
Welcome back, everybody, as we now are seated with the political parties, and everything that's been said here on the broadcast is going to be spoken about and more. So we're now going to be quite interactive with each one of the representatives, and we've got all of them represented, unfortunately, except for the IFP. They had confirmed their attendance. They have been invited. In fact, they took to Twitter this morning to say that they will be on the show, but unfortunately nobody has arrived. But if they do arrive in time for it, we certainly will seat them so that they can have their voice to this panel. It'll be a shame here in KwaZulu-Natal if the IFP are not able to join this discussion. But we do have with us a strong panel, and I'd like to introduce you to all of them. First up here, on my left-hand side, I've got ANC's Mike Mabuyukulu. He, of course, is the ANC KwaZulu-Natal Deputy Chairperson. Good to see you.
Morning, and morning to you, and morning to the viewers at home.
Thank you very, very much. All right, from the DA, we've got Zwakele Nwango, who is the KZN Premier candidate of the Democratic Alliance. Good to have you. Thank you.
Morning to you, and morning to the viewers at home.
Now, representing the EFF, we've got Vusi Muzi-Khoza. He is the chairperson in KwaZulu-Natal. Vusi, thank you very much.
Morning, Leanne. Morning to the viewers at home. It's our pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Minority Front, we've got Shamin Thakur Rajbanzi, and the only female leader that is represented here as well. Talk about Minority Front. Good to have you. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, and very good morning to all the viewers out there. And I must say that, well done to women power. At least we've got some gender representative here.
Thank you, and I thank you for that. Okay, and then finally from the NFP, we've got Professor Nhlanhla Kubisa. He is the NFP Secretary General. Thank you very much. No, do I have your name wrong? My apologies. I think the guest has changed. So let me just get the proper. Would you introduce yourself to us? Because I know that the guest changed last minute.
Morning to you, and morning to the viewers at home. My name is Simo Mkhwanazi, the national spokesperson of the National Freedom
Excellent.
Party.
Simo, thank you very, very much. Apologies for the wrong introduction. Simo Mkhwanazi is the national spokesperson for the NFP. All right, let's get into the issues that are facing the province. And I'm going to start off with the ANC, because you, of course, the majority party here within the ANC, within the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And one of the issues that has come up completely throughout every hour we've broadcast here and throughout every interview that I've done is the talk of fraud, corruption, and things not being done under the ANC. Now, let me talk to you. You, in fact, Mike, have been at the center of a lot of it. I mean, you've even declined a list position within. You've pulled out of the list for the ANC. All of this because you've got fraud charges hanging over you. Perhaps you'd like to talk to this up front.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Leanne, and to the viewers. Well, first and foremost, as the African National Congress, we must say that the ANC has been in charge of the province since 2004, so for the last 15 years. And I would think that the statistics of our achievement as the ANC in terms of basic service delivery speaks volume. But let me come back to the specific issue that we are raising, Leanne. Look, there are charges that have been pressed against some of us, and I'm one of those who was facing those charges. Never mind that the charges have now been changed. For charges have been now removed, for instance, and also the corruption charges now left with some of the charges, including some of the issues related to money laundering. The ANC has been very, very clear with regard to the issue of fighting crime and corruption. It is actually said that where there is an issue of crime and an issue of corruption, we in the ANC must actually be the ones that are in the forefront in fighting them. And I think we can speak volumes now. We have commissions in the country. We actually have got reports. We have got arrests. The mere fact that some of us appear before courts of law, where those matters will be ventilated and then will actually be resolved by the courts of law, means therefore that we have a working legal system, that the ANC itself is not shielding any of its own that may be accused of any of those kinds of charges, be they corruption, be they fraud. Yeah. So I'm saying, if you look at it on a scale from 1 to 10 and look at it, what the ANC has achieved, in particular in KwaZulu-Natal, it has been phenomenal. And I think the figures that I'll actually show later will indicate and bear testimony to the fact that the ANC has been delivered. Yes, I think the issue about fighting crime and corruption is an issue which collectively all of us must be fighting together.
Well, it certainly is. And Mike, I'm just gonna talk more to the issue of fraud and corruption. And you say that the legal system is what is fighting it, but the ANC is not fighting it. Thank goodness for the legal system. If you'll just let me finish. I mean, we're talking to a case of 28 million rand that was meant to be for some music North Sea Jazz Festival in Durban. It never happened. The money's gone. And this is just one example of what's come to light, is that more and more things are coming to light. And the reality is that there is fraud and there is corruption in the leadership of this country. And that's a major problem. Why voting for the ANC? Why go back and vote for the ANC when it appears that it is not changing and that is the culture embedded into the ruling party?
But I'm going to have to respect the sub judice rule when it's come to the matter we are raising in particular, because you can't have the justice system and have a court of public opinion, because the two don't tally at all. Now, the facts are there, and I think let's allow the court of law in that particular instance to be able to deal with that matter, and all of us have said quite openly, we shall subject ourselves to the rule of law, and we fear nothing when that matter comes before court. And we know that our name will actually be cleared before the court of law, because there is a separation of powers in government. There are decisions that are made by the executive authorities, which are MECs or ministers, and the decisions that are made by accounting officers, which are HOD. Those facts will be ventilated in a court of law. But if you lump them together, you actually will be taking a matter that must be actually debated and must be dealt by a court of law, and we can't deal with outside of that. However, the issue of fighting crime and corruption, the ANC in its own meetings, in the 54 conference, but in all its public platform, is very clear. Our leadership, starting from the president downwards, we are very clear that we are dealing with that matter. We're not denying that there are instances of wrongdoing where there have been corruption or corrupt activities. And where such have happened, we have said all of those must be subjected to the rule of law. And I think that is what actually makes us. It's not that the ANC is not fighting corruption. It would be wrong, because most of these instances, some of those where decisions have been taken, it has been at the instance of the ANC deployed cadres who have been actually initiating that. So I don't think we can actually divorce the ANC that runs the country from the decision that it has taken in its own resolutions in dealing with this matter.
All right. Let's move on now. But I do think it was so important, because otherwise there would have been this big pink elephant in the room that we needed to talk to. And I'm glad we did. Let's move on to the DA now. So we've spoken to the ANC, we've spoken to the issues that have come up in this broadcast and that are heavily within the news cycle. Let's talk to the DA. We talk about the news cycle now. You've had quite a big loss. Sizwe Mkono has moved over from the DA to the ANC. What has that done for you? I mean, is it a blow to the party?
Look, I think we must acknowledge the fact that we are now in 25 years of democracy. We worked so hard. People died for this democracy, and especially for freedom. And I think we must respect the rights of individuals to join any political party. But what is more important right now for South Africans is to ask ourselves whether we want to sustain inequality in our country or put an end to it. 1994, all of us, we said we're going to go out there and end apartheid. And today, we have to ask ourselves, do we want to keep ANC in power, to continue with corruption and keep with poverty, or we want to keep an end, to put an end on poverty and corruption? And one thing that Mabuya Kula is saying, his case is just one of the cases. The issue is here. We can talk about commission and justice system, but the question I was expecting he will tell us, how many people get arrested for corruption? Because every now and then we talk about corruption, but no one gets arrested. Instead, you will find that those who are whistleblowers are the ones becoming victims when they come out to expose corruption. That is why we are saying as a DA, we can put an end to corruption by ensuring that we protect whistleblowers and encourage them to come forward with information and make sure that those who are found to be corrupt are actually arrested, not just looking around as it's happening right now, because there is no political will. Quite right. You need a political will to ensure there's an end on corruption and end on poverty, because our people out there, they are saying we are waiting for jobs, and this corruption is taking away those opportunities. We have to ensure that we allow our people to access equal opportunities. At the moment, it is clear that corruption is a problem in South Africa. Even investors are not willing to come and invest in a corrupt institutions, especially when you look at SOEs, you look at our municipalities and our provincial governments. If you can put an end on corruption, you will be able to encourage investors to come in our country and invest and able to create more jobs for our people.
I want to get back to something that Sizwe said. I mean, now we take Sizwe quite seriously because he used to be the leader of the DA here in KwaZulu-Natal from 2005 all the way to 2015. To quote his words, he says, the DA doesn't have the machinery to save South Africa. And he's happy with President Cyril Ramaphosa's leadership. Now, coming from somebody within your party who says that you guys are brilliant at speaking out against the ANC, we give you full marks for that because that's what the DA is good at. But is the DA good at running a country? And that's what we need to know. Not what you think of the ANC, what you can do for South Africa. That's what we need to hear from you. Does he have a little bit of truth here, Sizwe?
Look, let's put it this way. If you have a bus and you have a fault in an engine of the bus, you can't just say just because a driver has changed automatically we're fixing the engine of the bus. You will never ride to that bus just because you're changing a driver. What's happening at the moment, yes, you now have a new president, which is Ramaphosa, but the engine itself, the ANC, will never rescue our country. Only DA will be able to build one South Africa for all. And even, I don't want to sit here and talk about Sizwe's views. It's his opinion, but bottom line is, only DA will be able to bring change in our country. Only DA will rescue this country. We're clear that we're going to be able to create jobs. We're going to secure our borders in South Africa, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. You look at Manguza, Umkanyagute, you've got cross-border crime there. Only DA will be able to ensure that we secure our borders and make sure that proper services are accessible to our people and also put a stop on crime in our country.
All right, let's go. EFF now. Very interesting party here in the province. So you managed to get almost 2% in the elections in 2014. Your support pace has grown. We can see that. We feel it within the province. But you're competing against big parties, the IFP, the ANC, of course, and the DA. How well do you think you can fare here?
Leon, you'll notice that when we started in 2014, about 2%, 2016 indicates that we are around 8%, and we can assure you that we are going far these coming elections. There's been an Ipsos survey recently that indicates we could be going up to around 15. We are expecting more. I'll tell you why the EFF is growing. It is only the EFF's message that resonates with the people of KwaZulu-Natal and South Africa indeed. If you look at the ANC, they are busy saying Tumamina, but they want to send the pensioners and the people that are tired, that have got no vision, their vision is blurred. So there's nothing that they can do for the future, because actually they are supposed to be in old age homes or playing with grandchildren, but they are on the list going to parliament. When it comes to the DA, that's why you have a hashtag that says remember Khayelitsha. They are saying they're going to build one South Africa for all, but they cannot build Khayelitsha. Compare Khayelitsha with other white settlements in Cape Town. You will see the mess that the DA continue to perpetuate. So the two are dead. IFP, they are not even near. It shows you that already they've conceded that they are out of the game. The EFF has got a very clear vision as to which direction South Africa should move forward. The whole issue of corruption, for instance, the EFF says on corruption is as a result of this tendering system that was brought about. EFF says as its third cardinal pillar that what needs to be done, let us build state capacity, abolish tenders, because the likes of Mabuya Kula in this mess because of tenders. The Busasas and the crisis is a result of tenders. Do away with tenders, build state capacity, and to effect effectively outroot corruption. All the people that work for government, should they be found guilty, they must, one, lose their pension, and there must be a minimum sentence of 20 years for a civil servant or anybody for that matter that has been charged for corruption. I think that will outroot corruption, and once we deal with that, we would have dealt with crime and would be on a road to a better South Africa, not what the DA and the ANC have failed to bring about.
There's a fine line now, because you talk to corruption, okay, within the ranks of the ruling party. Let's talk to violence, because the EFF unfortunately does get a reputation of being a party that is embarking on illegal land grabs here in the province, that embarking on violence within certain certain communities, and is encouraging people to go and occupy the land illegally, to go and embark on things in a violent manner. Is that fair, though?
No, it's not fair. I think
can you confirm these things? Is the EFF involved in all of these all of these violent activities?
No, firstly, unless people would cite specific cases of violence, EFF, we are just robust. We are just engaging robustly on issues, and there's no violence in that. But I want to correct this whole notion of saying that we are involved in illegal, we are encouraging illegal land occupation. What's illegal about taking something that belongs to me? The people of South Africa that are landless, their land was taken forcefully from them. All we are encouraging as EFF is occupying of vacant, available, and used land which belongs to the African majority of the people who were denied land through apartheid legislation. And it is hurting to see that the ANC 25 years later has not given our people access to land. All their answer to that is that they respond by sending security to shoot our people, to arrest our people for doing what? For occupying something that rightfully belongs to them. So the EFF is actually doing what should have been done 25 years ago, to give people access to land. And we're not apologetic about that. Our land, and based on access to land, that's where you will get your jobs, because everything that you do, whether you want to start industry, you want to start business, you need access to land. If you want to, young people need to start businesses and be enterprising, where they must take all the money that they are trying to generate from their entrepreneurship and pay landlords who are beneficiaries of stolen land. We can't allow that to continue forever.
Yeah. I want to challenge you a little bit on what you said. You were saying that the EFF is robust and they don't believe in violence. I'm going to get personal with you. I mean, you have been given a 3-year suspended sentence for public violence and conspiracy to commit assault. You have a record that says you were believed to be in a xenophobic attack on foreigners, Albert Park, December 2009. 2 people were killed there. That doesn't sound like robust activity to me.
Okay, let us correct that. That happened when I was still an ANC councillor. So you see where violence belongs.
No.
It does not belong with the EFF. But let me continue.
No, that's low.
On a serious note, let me continue. If you see the conviction is conspiracy to commit violence. I was never there. It's because I was a councillor. I was the leader of the community at the time. When the community went out on the rampage, hunting down drug dealers and drug peddlers in Albert Park, unfortunately it got out of hand and people died. The court established there was nothing xenophobic, it was purely criminal, and I was convicted for conspiracy to commit, because I was a councillor, and the meeting happened in outside my office where I was a councillor. I was never involved, hence the conspiracy part, because they could not prove anything. So we must get those facts right. I've nothing to do with it.
Let me bring the Minority Front into this, because the Minority Front, Shamin, again, thanks so much for being with us. KZN, Durban in particular, I'm hoping you can hear me. They've got the largest population of Indians outside of India. But what does your party actually stand for? What do you campaign for?
Well, we are established for one reason in the new democracy, and we more than 25 years old now. We had a vision, our late leader, Mr. Rajbansi, that we must always protect minority rights as human rights. And we must do this based on one prescript, and that is that there must be the absence of discrimination as well as unfairness, because we believed, and we still are working all the time with this issue, and that is that every minority must be given an equal opportunity to realize their full potential so that they can contribute to the success of South Africa. And that's always been our fight, and therefore we are watchdogs in Parliament to ensure that there are no discriminatory policies, and some of the policies you would know that I've been fighting for a long time has been affirmative action. So this is what we've been founded for, and this is what we fight all the time.
Yeah. A lot of people criticize the Minority Front for aligning with the ANC quite a bit, even though you do criticize them, but behind the scenes there's a lot of alignment with the party. What do you say about that?
Well, as I said, based on our vision, we work with the ruling party because we believe in cooperative coexistence. We don't believe in violence. We believe in peaceful cooperation. Now, if the ANC is the government of the day, then we work with the ANC. And we've been criticized for it, but I want to say that in 2004, when the ANC required our 2 votes, it was for a particular reason. And that was because we were determining the seat of the KwaZulu-Natal legislature. And we threw in our 2 seats into that ring, and that gave the ANC power. But we did it for all the right reasons. Today, we have saved the government lots of money because we don't have 2 seats of parliament like we had before, one in Ulundi and one in Pietermaritzburg. So, you know, the community should now realize that, and we have really been unfairly criticized. We do criticize, and and the ANCs here, they know, I criticize them all the time in Parliament, but very constructively, because when I bring on an issue, I also give reasons why we don't agree with this, and I also give solutions as to what should be done. Yeah. And many times that is taken. How we differ then from the opposition is the opposition only opposes. They don't propose anything. And therefore, the Minority Front is a very constructive party for all those reasons. But we just get criticized for aligning. Unfortunately, when other parties form coalitions and alliances, and these are unprincipled, unholy alliances, then they call it, that they're working on some principled initiative, etc. And yet if the Minority Front does it, then, we are called all kinds of names. Okay. And I think that double standard, the fact that we have a maturing democracy, that must now be understood in that context. And the Minority Front cannot be continuously blamed, and we shouldn't be facing this kind of propaganda, because our leader was visionary, and whatever we've done for the greater good of all the people in KZN.
Let's move on to the NFP now. The NFP, of course, came in with a bang into KwaZulu-Natal. But it seems that there's an issue now with the NFP, and particularly with its leadership. Give us a little bit of clarity. What is happening? We do know that that your leader, Zanele Mgwazi Msibi, suffered a stroke in 2014. The party since then really seems to have remained stagnant. Talk to us about the NFP. What's going on?
The National Freedom Party is still in existence, and we are contesting these elections, and we are optimistic that we'll be doing very well. The president, Zanele Mgwazi Msibi, is still the face of our campaigns, and she's still in existence, so is the party. In this issue that is concerning us most, about crime and corruption, I'm very saddened by the ANC making claims that they are fighting corruption, yet we do not see it in action. It's just an empty slogan that is out loudly spoken to the people, so that we even applaud for what looked like a solution. But those whom are always found guilty or even associated with crime, there's nothing ever done with them. It's just always a case that the process is still in the investigation is still in process. So that process never seems to end. So that's the concern. But the true corruption that one may define is to see our people still suffering after 25 years of democracy. with this government of the ANC, always giving promises or empty promises as we are moving toward these elections. They're still giving promises to the people. But in these 25 years, people are still without water. And as the National Freedom Party, we say, what logic is there that people can be without a basic need? People are still without transport. People are still without schools. People are still without clinics. So what logic do you bring when you're saying you are leading the country and the basic needs are not there? The youth are unemployed and you still say you want people to continuously vote for you. I think the first point of departure to eradicate crime and unrooted, it will be to take power from the ANC, so that if the power is divided amongst other parties, at least we'll agree in principle on the basis of what will bring light to the people.
Yeah.
It will be a pity that amongst those parties, the DA and the AFF will be included. The third part of it.
I want to bring up something quite important as well. And I'm going to quickly take a break. When we return, I'm going to pose this question to you. It's about some scathing remarks that have been made about the party from the IFP leader. But I'll allude to those in a short while. We need to take this break, though. We'll be back with this and a lot more. Remember, you can get hold of us as well if you'd like to on Twitter to add your voice to the conversation. You've heard from every single one of the political parties. We're going to delve a little bit deeper. Time, obviously, is something that we need more of. So let's take this break and then we'll come back with this.